judging by the video that we're talking about and the release dates, I think this is a moment that has been a long time coming for this series. Anyways, welcome back to Do You Remember This episode 9, which is actually released a month before the last episode and not a year. So honestly, we're here to be ready to talk about this episode in particular because of the day it was released and mostly what happened a few years ago. So anyways, it's time to go back to the past with one particular TV channel that y'all remember, but after recently it was dead. So anyways, let's talk about Qubo. Now this one is a little different to talk about because of how we're talking about a TV channel rather than just a specific thing, but what is Qubo TV? Well, Qubo TV is basically kind of like PBS Kids or Nickelodeon or those other Discovery Kids or the other shows that have prepared programming for specifically for children, specifically around 5 to 14, but which all of this began in the year 2006 when it was first aired on NBC, and then it aired on other platforms like Telemundo, and then also the one that usually stays on there the most by its owners, ION Television, all the way up until its closure, but we'll get to that later. So honestly, it aired on NBC first, and then afterwards it just decided to put it on other channels, and then it just became what it is today on its launch on September 9th, 2006, to where it had a few shows which I'm pretty sure you recognize. Some of them like Jacob Tutu, Babar, Jane and a Dragon, the big one, VeggieTales, and a bunch of other ones, which some of these could be like an episode of DYRT alone. So, and honestly, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's just a TV channel where they just air shows for kids. Simple as that. Back then when Do You Remember This was announced, Qubo was going to be part of the list way before they announced that it was going to be closure. And yeah, we gotta talk about why it was forgotten nowadays, the shutdown. So around September 24th, 2020, EW Scripts company ended up buying ION Media for $2.65 billion, which in January 7th, 2011, they said all the networks are just going to be integrated to Cat's broadcasting, to which means that over time they're going to shut down them a long time on January 14th, 2021, which is when they announced that Qubo was actually going to close forever on the evening of February 28th, to which everything just ended, and now Cat's own networks just became what it is today, and now they're just gone. They're just forgotten, and afterwards Qubo just disappeared and ended up becoming forgotten, which nowadays people just are sad that it was gone, but it kind of sucks that they shut it down. But it was been on out, it was around 14 to 15 years that it's been on here, and honestly kind of sucks that it ended, but at least it was remembered for the next chapter of our lives. Now this one I can categorize as with 3 or 4 different theories, but I would say 3 because of usual how Qubo is remembered nowadays, and I can explain that in simple terms. And the first theory is that it was part of the kids channel, which is like PBS Kids, where if you don't have cable, I think this would be perfect for a perfect channel to watch with your kids, rather than just if you can't afford like Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, or the other big ones, Nickelodeon. And yeah, it was perfect for those people that didn't have it, and ION especially has been used on those antennas, and it was actually useful for those kids to watch. And then the second theory is mostly the shows they have right now. I know we talked about them, but the shows they have are like pretty much memorable, but they have like some obscure shows that they have, but at least they're still remembered nowadays, which is something that could be useful for something that people will enjoy in the long run, in their childhoods forever. And then the third one, which is a little bit hasty at first, but let me explain. On the shutdown, there was a lot of creepypasta imagery related to the shutdown, to which all of it was fake, by the way. How many people are stupid enough to believe that crap? But I guess people do, but I'm not gonna argue with them. So honestly, that's also one of the things why people remember nowadays. That's the shows that they air, and mostly how it's kind of like an alternative to PBS Kids and the other big shows if you don't have cable in the long run. Which is why a shutdown was a huge thing for those people and me, but in the long run, at least those shows will still be remembered for a long time, with this channel in particular. And now we're at the final part of this episode, and now it's time to answer the most important question of all. Do you remember Qubo? And now it's time for story time, because that's what this series is all about. My side of the story related how I remember Qubo. It was around 2011, I think. It was back when the Qubo was just only on a few days, like at the weekends, but I usually just watch a few shows there, although the one I remember the most on that channel was the Magic School Bus, because I did watch it back then. It was a great show, by the way. And anyways, a few years I just forgot it existed until I was at a swap meet, like a few years later, I think around 2015 or 16, I was around that time. I went to swap meet and found an antenna for my TV in my room, where it was an old Samsung Smart TV there, for anybody who's seen the channel in the old days. And mostly how it's all Qubo on it, and I really wanted to get that antenna. And we set it up, and mostly we got it to work for the most part, and it actually did show Qubo on channel 30 on that antenna. And I've been watching it from time to time, but not all the time, because look at me. And mostly looking at it now, it just, I didn't even know where it was shut down until like 2022 or like later, because I just saw the chat. I decided to just go like Qubo for a minute, and then I checked, like nothing was happening. I was like confused, and then I checked and I realized, oh, they shut it down. I was like, dang, I was kind of disappointed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I still really love it though. And yeah, that was pretty much how I remember it. And yeah, I guess that sucks, but it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. So anyways, I guess that's it for this episode. Do you remember this? I hope you guys enjoy this video, episode series. Comment, dislike, and subscribe, and I'll see you on episode 10 whenever it happens. Bye.